Hello, Professor Kent Lee here. This is a makeup lecture for my conversation class in the fall of 2022 for the Typhoon Day. It's a big typhoon is approaching. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if really Zoom classes will be possible tomorrow, especially in the morning, um, in the early afternoon. So just in case, I'm doing this makeup lecture um, just in case. There could be power outages. It might be difficult to do Zoom with the violent storm raging outside, if that's really the case on Tuesday. And it's just really hard for me to do Zoom at home, and probably can't come to my office to do Zoom here in my office. So I thought the best thing would be to do a makeup lecture. And sorry if I look reddish. I think it's kind of really muggy and hot in here. Okay, so anyway, we're going to do a makeup lecture. I'm going to talk about some introductory stuff. The topic is motivation and study habits. More so today in this lecture about motivation. Now, if you've had my classes before, we've talked about this topic before. You've heard it before. But today I want to talk about this in a slightly different way, or talk about some aspects I might not have mentioned in my other classes. Then in our next class, live class, we might talk about this a little bit in class and move on. So I want to ask you a question that seems not related to learning or languages or anything that we usually do in my class and classes in this department. Have you ever tried to lose weight or start exercising or dieting or something like that? Have you ever made like some kind of plan? I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to lose like 10 kilograms. I'm going to start exercising regularly. Now, in my culture, especially around New Year's Day, as New Year's approaches, we make these New Year's resolutions. And resolution is like, I'm determined to do this. Starting with the new year, I'm going to change something about myself. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to start exercising. I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to be a nicer person. I'm going to start learning a new hobby or a new language or something. I resolve to make some positive change in my life. And a lot of people resolve to lose weight, to exercise, or something like that. And maybe they start trying to work out or start trying to diet. Maybe they go and join a gym, get a gym membership and pay a lot of money for the gym. And, well, what happens? Does it work? What do you think? After a few weeks, yeah, people kind of give up. I'm tired of not being able to eat what I want. Oh, this exercise stuff, it's not really fun. It's not really interesting. I'll just skip a week and then come back to it. And guess what? You never come back to it. You give the gym the money to pretend to change your life. They keep your money, and you can say, I joined a gym, although you're not using it. That's how it often works. Why is that? Or you decide, I'm going to study hard and get better grades this year. Well, does making a resolution really change things? Often not. And why is that? Well, when you do this, what's your motivation deep down? What's your motivation? What's your specific motivation for changing, for, say, losing weight or dieting or learning something new, improving your grades or something, or just, I resolve I'm going to be a better person, or I'm going to be more self-disciplined, I'm just going to work harder, I'm going to study harder. Deep down, what's your motivation? Is it because you have to, or because you genuinely, really, really want to? A real, genuine desire. And that's the difference. That difference between have to motivation and want to motivation is really often the difference between failure and success, whether it's learning a language or losing weight or whatever. The type of motivation makes a huge difference, and people don't understand this. I just need more motivation. Well, it depends. Having a have to motivation, you can have all the have to motivation in the world, and it might not help you to really make a significant change. The want to motivation can help you to make a change. And the question is, okay, what does that look like and how can I gain that motivation? When it comes to different subjects in school, like back in high school or in college, there are some classes you like, you have a real desire to learn that stuff and to do well. And there are other classes you don't like. Can you change your motivation? Well, you may not be able to have positive motivation towards everything in life, towards every subject in school or every job you have or everything you do at work, but at least you can understand why you might have sometimes difficulties with self-improvement and with motivation, and sometimes understanding that can help you to understand how you can sometimes develop better motivation, and sometimes maybe realize it's not that important to me. I shouldn't try too hard here and focus on really what I should do in my life. So let's look at more about exercise and weight loss. And by the way, going on a diet is not a good way to lose weight, because after your diet program, you go back to your old eating habits and, well, you gain the weight back. It doesn't really do any good. But when nutritionists and doctors talk about diet, usually they talk about diet, not a diet, not going on a diet or doing a diet, but just diet. That is that in English, the main meaning of diet is your general eating habits over time. Do you have a healthy diet or an unhealthy diet? So when you have this have to motivation, what do? Well, for a time, you maybe do a diet. You eat stuff you don't like. You don't eat the stuff you really like. You're not really changing your fundamental eating habits or desires over a long period of time. So naturally, you're going to fall back into eating unhealthy food. Okay, but this change, if it's a have to motivation, okay, ultimately, what's the reason? I have to. Why? Because I'm fat. I don't feel good about myself. People make fun of me, or I want to look good to other people. I want to get a boyfriend or girlfriend. The doctor said I need to lose weight. I need to change my lifestyle or something. And those might be kind of compelling, but deep down, they don't really change you. Deep down, you don't really have this desire. It's like I have to, but that's not the same as I want to. And the I want to is what's really going to change you. So your motivation is external. It's not really a deep desire here. It's maybe external in that you feel an obligation or pressure. I have to for the sake of my health, or what other people think of me, or something like that. But that's not going to give you necessarily real desire. The I want to motivation can come from maybe finding kinds of activities and exercise that you actually enjoy. Some people start at the gym and they have this have to motivation. That's not where you want to start. I love gym exercise myself, but that's not where I started. That's not where most people can start, because if you don't have that want to motivation, gym exercise is going to be boring and not fun, and you probably don't know how to do it properly. It's more likely you find some outdoor exercise that's fun, enjoyable, walking, hiking, and that can then turn into maybe jogging and bicycling. You start walking and you realize I want to challenge myself more, and you walk faster, and then maybe it develops into jogging. Or it could happen like this. You're hiking, maybe you're in an area where you have good places to hike, great mountains and hills here in my city, in Busan, or somewhere else in Korea, and you start hiking in the hills and the mountains, and then you discover some hiking trails that are more challenging, they're steeper, or they have some rocks you can start climbing on, and you go, hey, this is fun, I want to do this more. And you do, but you're like, I'm out of breath. So I realized, I need to do some more exercise so I can do better at the steep climbing or climbing these rocks or something. And that can lead you into wanting to do jogging or bicycling in order to develop your aerobic ability, your physical ability, so you can do that thing that you like. And over time, the riding itself might become fun. Then that might lead into doing gym exercise. Oh, I can do gym exercise so I can have more strength, so I can climb these rocks and climb these steep hills and such. Then you can do gym exercise and start to enjoy it. And another thing that might give you this one-two motivation is watching exercise videos, like good educational videos on YouTube, like channels that explain how you run, good techniques for running and for walking, and good techniques for doing weightlifting in the gym, or just other kinds of physical exercises. Watching those videos can give you maybe the desire, oh, that looks interesting, I want to try that myself. You can also kind of develop a desire, maybe by educating yourself, learning, reading, and watching educational videos about, say, the effects of exercise on your body and the effects of not exercising, the effects of sugar on your body, what happens when you eat a lot of sugar, when you eat a lot of carbohydrates, when you eat healthy food. That might give you the desire if you educate yourself, because if you don't understand why you're doing it, you're not going to have that kind of want to desire. But maybe if you educate yourself, okay, why would you want to do this? Why would you want to change your eating habits permanently over time? Why would you want to start exercising? Educating yourself about the effects of exercise, the effects of good food, the effects of bad food, the effects of sugar, that is another thing that can give you the want to kind of motivation. So, in psychology, I'm going to get to the part that you've probably heard before in my classes. We have different ways of talking about these types of motivation. The want to motivation is internal. So we call it internal motivation. Or in psychology, the term is intrinsic. It's kind of natural, or it's a part of you, and it's internal. It's inside you. It's your own natural motivation. As opposed to the external motivation, the have to motivation. External, or the term we use in psychology, is extrinsic. So let's talk about these, and I'll talk about some other terms related to motivation. Intrinsic motivation. One key characteristic is what psychologists call autonomy. It's your choice, because you do it because you want to, because you have a desire to do it. I exercise because I now desire exercise. I want to do it, and I get frustrated if, like, for some reason I can't. Also, you have an interest in it. Maybe you're learning something because you want to learn it. You want to learn that language, and you have an interest in it, whether it's a personal interest, an intellectual interest. Oh, this language is really cool, or whatever you're learning or doing, this is really cool. Your hobby, you have a desire to do it. It's fun. It's interesting. You have a personal interest, an intellectual interest, or maybe a social interest, especially if it's a more social thing, like you like learning a language and then talking to other people in that language. So one characteristic is autonomy. That includes desire and interest, and maybe along with that, fun as you do it. Another characteristic is a sense of mastery or improvement or efficacy. So mastery means I'm really good at this, or maybe if you're not there yet, a sense of improvement. I'm getting better. You feel like you're getting better at this, you're improving, you're learning, and that feeds your sense of self-esteem. You feel better about yourself, and that gives you more of a desire to continue learning more. And along with that comes a sense of what we call efficacy. Efficacy means you feel confident that you can learn it, that you can improve. It's like your confidence in your ability to learn a specific skill or to improve in a specific area. So it's not just self-confidence, but it's your confidence, your belief in your ability to learn or improve in a specific area, whether it's learning a language or improving your your physical condition to exercise, or your hobby, or learning something else, uh, your ability to do something on the job when you're working, your ability to learn a new job skill. Do you have efficacy? It's like, I believe, I know I can learn and improve and learn this new skill. That's efficacy. So is you're learning something you want to because you feel like you're mastering it or you're improving, and you have this sense of, oh, I can do it. I can do it. This efficacy, this sense of I can do it. Connectedness, for some people, another aspect of internal or intrinsic motivation is connectedness, social connectedness. You feel like you're developing friendships by doing this thing, whether you're in a jogging club or you're learning a language with some friends and you're having fun using the language and developing friendships, maybe with foreigners using the language, or you know that in the future you will develop social relationships through this, and maybe even becoming a part of a different culture or society as well. That's a thing for some people. As you can imagine, these are traits that lead to more successful study habits and more successful learning. When you want to do something, whether it's exercise or learning a language or hobby or anything, or a new job skill, anything in life, it's generally going to be much more effective when you have this intrinsic motivation, this want to motivation. The opposite of that is external or extrinsic motivation. You don't have a sense of autonomy. It's like you have to do it. I have to do this. Whether it's social pressure, or what other people think of you, or you're worried about what you think of yourself. Oh, I'm fat. I don't like myself. I have to lose weight. That's not a good way to start. I don't like learning this language, but I have to. I need this for a job. I need this to graduate or whatever. For some of you, that's the way foreign languages like English were in high school. It suddenly became something you had to do. Test pressure killed maybe your natural desire and interest in the language. With external motivation, you lack the sense of desire or interest, and it's all I have to. I have to, and it's focused in, you're concerned with what you think of yourself or what other people think of you, or your performance, or getting some score or grade. And thus you're not getting a sense of mastery or improvement. You don't have the sense of efficacy, like, oh, I can do this. You don't have that feeling. You don't feel like you're really, really improving, and you don't feel good about yourself when you're trying to learn this or do this thing. And you may not have a sense of connectedness. How is this helping me? Yeah, maybe you feel lonely and such. Take this to an extreme, maybe you feel depressed. So these are characteristics of external or extrinsic motivation. And for some of you, learning has become like this. You've lost your desire, your interest, something, maybe pressure. The pressures and demands of school have taken away or made it impossible for you to develop a natural desire, interest, a sense of autonomy, a sense of mastery or improvement, as well as a sense of maybe social connection as a result. Now, in between the intrinsic and the extrinsic, and there is a sort of middle ground, a neutral or instrumental motivation. Instrumental because to you this is a helpful instrument or tool for doing something else. So let's say, I've given this illustration before in my classes, let's say the thing that you really like is business. You like studying business and learning about business. So maybe for you, English is a helpful tool. It's like you don't have any feelings for or against it. You don't really like it, but you certainly don't hate it. You don't mind it. It's a useful tool for doing what you really like, which is learning about business and maybe someday doing business, running your company, or getting a job and working in the business world. So maybe for you, English is a helpful tool for learning about business, or learning about science, or learning about politics, or whatever interests you. Maybe fitness for you is a helpful tool. It's not like you're really into it, but you do it sometimes because it's useful for something else, for some social reasons perhaps. That is possible. So for some of you, you might have a neutral motivation toward what you're doing in college or toward your language that you're learning, and that's okay. It's still fairly healthy. If you have a neutral instrumental motivation, that's at least fairly healthy. because you've learned to use this thing for the purpose of something else. And that's good. Now let's talk about some special types of kind of extrinsic motivation. Are you a perfectionist? Perfectionism is a very unhealthy kind of motivation. Now, it might seem to be successful. It seems maybe, oh, it's helped me to be really successful. Okay, yeah. And it's also possible that maybe you're intrinsically motivated about the things you study, but when it comes to grades and exams, you're very perfectionistic. And that's possible. But perfectionism itself can be unhealthy. It's extremely extrinsic because, being perfect is really not realistic. You can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect, and nobody can be the best in anything all the time. It's an unrealistic expectation of yourself. The perfectionist is concerned more with performance, getting the scores, or getting approval, or being seen as successful, rather than the mastery of the thing that you're learning. So if you're really totally perfectionistic, maybe you're not so concerned about learning English itself and really being good at English internal, it's not a real internal desire or passion, but it's like you're concerned with what other people think of you, whether other people accept you, or what you think of yourself, and whether you can accept yourself as worthy, or do people think I'm smart? Do people think I'm worthy? Or can I get their attention and approval? Or do I think I'm smart? Can I prove to myself that I'm smart, that I'm worthy, that I'm good, or whatever? You're trying to prove something to yourself or to someone else. You're trying to meet social expectations or expectations that you have made for yourself, which may not be reasonable or healthy. So perfectionism at some point will cause a problem for you, because someday you'll find yourself in a situation where no matter how hard you try, you can't succeed, you can't do well. Maybe it's in school, maybe later in a work environment. You're going to be in trouble because you can't succeed. We all experience some situation in life where no matter how hard you try, you can't do well, you can't succeed, you can't meet other people's expectations. And if you're perfectionist, you're more likely to fall into depression and anxiety as a result. So if you're a perfectionist, think about why. What kinds of pressures made you like that? What kind of pressures made you focus so much on unrealistic expectations? So really, what do you expect of yourself? Where do those expectations come from? Now, another kind of motivation is a person who is demotivated. You have no motivation. Maybe you've lost your motivation. So this is kind of an extreme, and this is true maybe for some college students. I don't know why I'm in college. I don't know why I'm in this major. I don't know why I'm doing anything in life. I don't know why I'm working here. You're demotivated. And this is a total lack of any of the characteristics of intrinsic motivation to an extreme. Not only do you have no desire or interest in what you're doing, but you have no sense of purpose. Like, I don't understand why I'm doing this. No sense of purpose. No sense of control. In other words, you lack a sense of control over your life or over the situation you're in. Maybe it's in college, like, I don't know why I have to study this. Why do I have to take this class? I feel helpless. I have no control over my life. And that's not only a characteristic of a person who's demotivated, but that's also a symptom maybe of depression. And it's not surprising that people who are demotivated, they've totally lost their motivation to do anything, or don't have any at all to begin with. They are also often people who have problems with depression. If this is you, please seek some help or some guidance, because a sign of depression is also a sign of demotivation. I feel like I have no control. I can't do anything. It's an extreme lack of efficacy. I can't do anything to improve my situation. I can't do anything to study and improve, in this course or in this department or in what I'm learning or this language or whatever. Total lack of control. And along with that sense of another opposite of efficacy is learned helplessness. So a demotivated person feels helpless. I can't learn anything. I can't study on my own. I need someone to help me all the time. I'm helpless. And again, this is also a sign of depression or demotivation. You've completely lost all motivation. And if this is you, you probably need to seek some counseling and think about, okay, what was it that was so hurtful that destroyed your motivation, that hurt you, that made you depressed and demotivated? That's way beyond what I can talk about in this video. But that's kind of the extreme opposite of intrinsic motivation. So this distinction between, say, have to motivation and want to motivation, this applies, of course, to language learning. It applies to your study habits. Why do you study well in one class but not in another? Learning anything, again, whether it's in school or whether it's a job skill or a new workplace environment, learning anything new. This applies. And whether you have a have to motivation or want to motivation is probably going to indicate whether long term you're going to be successful in this or how successful you will be in your college or in a class or in a workplace environment. It can also apply to, well, I mentioned a resolution some people make around New Year's. I'm going to be a better person. Well, is it because you have to, because you want to impress other people, because you want to think better of yourself? Again, expectations, external, what people think of you, getting recognized, getting noticed, or do I just have this intrinsic motivation? I just want to be a better person. I like people and I want to be a good person and I want to be good to other people because I want to. It's just a natural desire. And that makes a difference between a kind of morality or ethics that's natural or one that's kind of fake and such. So think about whatever you're learning, whatever you're doing, and especially if it's something you're doing well in or something you're not doing well in, something you're struggling with. What's your motivation? Is it a have to motivation or a want to motivation? And if it's this have to or extrinsic motivation, think about why. Why is it? Can you improve your motivation? Sometimes you can, especially if it's an area that's important to you. It's worth trying. It may not be worth your while to develop it may not be possible to develop an intrinsic motivation for everything you do in life, everything you do in school, everything you do in work. But at least in areas that are important, you can think about, okay, why? Why do I lack motivation? Why do I lack a natural intrinsic motivation? Can I make it healthier? Can I make it at least a neutral motivation or develop an intrinsic motivation? How can I maybe educate myself, change my thinking, develop a natural internal desire to want to do this? Something to think about, and we might discuss this in class next time. So that's it for now. I'm going to stop talking. I want you to, after this video, I would like you to think about these things. And in my class, we're going to talk about them maybe a little bit next time, and you can ask me questions about this. So I hope you are staying safe from the storm, or did stay safe from the storm. And I will see you, if you're a student watching this, I'll see you in class next time. And also, good luck this semester. Hope the best for you. Goodbye.